Podcast for you. I'm going to tell you some things that you may not know about our political situation in this country and why November 3rd is the most important election of my lifetime. I'm going to do it in a very methodical way. We now have, hundreds of thousands of new viewers because of our debate coverage. I mean, it's just been an amazing surge of people watching the No Spin News, going to BillO'Reilly.com, watching the First TV, all of our venues on radio. It's an incredible thing. And it happened when the Lewinsky-Clinton case in the 1990s broke. That was the turning point when I was on Fox News. That surged it. Well, now we're in a surge because of this election. So let's begin with the most important aspect of the vote November 3rd. It's not about the economy or COVID. It's not about foreign policy or global warming. It's not about any of that. The most important thing is there is a movement in this country to change our traditional system. You know about it, you've heard about it, but don't know if you see the danger as starkly as I see it. So the key moment in the debate was when Joe Biden refused to answer, the question about whether he would support packing the Supreme Court. I'm going to play that for you. I know you've heard it, but I think it's worth playing again. But first, I want to set this up. So in 1789, the United States government was forming under President Washington. And the judiciary, set the number of Supreme Court justices at 6, 6, because the Constitution basically said there has to be oversight to government in case the federal government does something heinous. There've got to be judges that say you can't do that. You can't violate the Constitution. So 6 judges were appointed. In 1837, that number was bumped up to 9 because the population of the country was growing. And they wanted to have more judges represented. So it went from 6 to 9. All right. In 1863, in the middle of the Civil War, it went to 10 justices because there were so many problems with the Union that they wanted another voice. All right. Then in 1869, after the war was over, they went back down to 9, where it has stood ever since. 9 justices. In 1937, Franklin Delano Roosevelt wanted to pack the court because he was frustrated that some of his Depression-era laws, the stuff he wanted, getting voted down. So he didn't like the 9 Supreme Justices. He wanted 15. That was voted down in the Senate 70 to 20, and FDR was a popular president. 70 to 20. So FDR wanted 15. Now today we have the same thing because the court and Amy Coney Barrett will be a traditional judge on the court, so that'll be 6-3, traditional versus liberal. All right, and the left goes, can't have that. We can't have that. So we got to pack it, so that if the Senate and the House go Democrat and Biden's elected, they'll pass a law that says, well, we want 15 or we want 20 Supreme Court justices, which will wipe out the system we have now. All right, so that's the danger. That's the danger. There is a poll, a left-wing poll, Washington Post, ABC News. Democrat 31, Republican 27, Independent 37, but they don't say who the independents are. Would you support or oppose increasing the number of U.S. Supreme Court justices? Support 32%, oppose 54%. A lot of people answering this poll, they don't know what that is. They don't know what the issue is. They don't know what the Supreme Court is. And I don't say that with any arrogance. It's true. So 22% more Americans want to keep the system the way it is. All right, but Joe Biden, he doesn't want to keep the system the way it is. Roll tape.
So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want to
you're a
answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question
you want to put a
is
lot of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justice,
the
radical
question,
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
Gentlemen,
this is-
I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack
unprecedented.
the
All right, that was Wallace's fault. All right, Biden had a obvious dodge. And Wallace should have stopped him cold and said, look, if you don't want to answer the question, just tell us and we'll go ahead, but you're dodging. But Trump had to do it. Because if Trump didn't do it, nobody would have. And that goes right back to Chris Wallace. Now, I'm not here to bash Chris Wallace. I think my analysis of his performance is fair. All right, again, we're going to post all this stuff on BillO'Reilly.com throughout the weekend so you can catch up if you haven't seen it. Now, here's the danger. All right? And this is really important to every single American. We have guaranteed rights by a Constitution. Those rights are protected by the Supreme Court, not by the political parties. All right? You've got to understand that. The Democrats and the Republicans are not going to protect your rights. They don't care about that. They care about political power, wielding power. The only body in this country, ultimately, that protects our rights is the Supreme Court. If you politicize the court by putting 15 or 20 judges on it, all of whom will be confirmed based on their politics, not on the Constitution. Okay? I mean, Sonia Sotomayor, is a left-wing zealot and always votes that way. Clarence Thomas is an ardent conservative and almost always votes that way. You don't want a court that's racked up with politicians. So, let's bring it home. The most prosperous right that we have from the Constitution is the right to private property. All right? You cannot live in comfort unless you have private property. Can't. That's why if you go to China and you see how the people who are not elite live, they don't have any comfort because they don't have a right to private property. If somebody bought a brand new Ferrari, Beijing could take it. And maybe Cuba. They take it. The far left in this country does not want private property to be respected or protected by the Constitution. How do I know that? How many times have you heard from the Democratic Party, wealth tax, 2%, 3%, 5%. What's a wealth tax? That's a tax on private property. Okay? So they come in, the state comes in, evaluates what you have, what you've already bought with post-tax dollars. You already paid your taxes. You have money left over. You buy things. You acquire things. Government comes in and says, you have this, you have that, you have this, you have that. They add it up, and they go, we want 2% of that every year. So you got a farm, we want 2% of that. You got a house, you got cars, you got art, whatever it may be. If you are over a certain income threshold, and that threshold is arbitrary, could be $1 million in assets, could be 10. Depends on the state, depends on the feds. Government says, we have a right to take it as a tax. That's a double tax. Can't be double taxed. Not according to the Constitution. Congress has a right to tax, but not double, triple, quadruple, whatever. Every time they try, goes into court says no. If the left gains control of this country, and you're going to hear Biden, you just heard him, okay? He won't say he won't pack the court. If that happens, then all the stuff that I have, that you have, particularly if you're affluent, is going to be subject to the government taking it away from us. And it's going to be their calculations, not ours. They'll decide how much, what the threshold is, what stuff is worth. They'll decide. Can you imagine that? Private property? Private property then goes, bye. The government owns the property. They allow you to have some of it. You want to live in a country like that? I don't. And I know that Joe Biden won't stand up to the socialist communist movement that has to have that. You can't have the Green New Deal. You can't have socialized medicine. You can't have entitlements, guaranteed income, free college, and all that without the wealth tax. You can't have it. We already owe 30 trillion. You want to owe 80 trillion? Then you don't have a dollar. Then the dollar just blows up and all the money you have in the bank disappears. So they have to pass a wealth tax. They have to confiscate private property to pay for all the far left vision. They have to. They want to guarantee income, guarantee a job, guarantee health care, guarantee education. Somebody's got to pay for that. And they're taxing people up to here now. In New York, where I live, it's insane. People are moving out by the hundreds of thousands to Florida and Texas and North Carolina because they can't pay the taxes. So who are they going to go for? They're going to go for the people who have assets and take them away. That's what this is all about. Now let's get it down to a lower rung, okay? So if you pack the court, there's not going to be any guns, all right? So the right to bear arms goes away because the left will say, look at that militia clause, a well-regulated militia in the Second Amendment. That doesn't mean you, as a private citizen, can have a gun. You got to be in a militia. And a militia is an arm of the government, the National Guard. That's a militia. You can't form your own militia. So you can't protect yourself with a firearm. And it's not a matter of AKs or this or that or clips or bump stocks or whatever. All guns. No guns. Can't have one. You got one, we find you, you go to prison. You go to jail. And we fine you like crazy. You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. That's the vision. Because if the citizens of the United States cannot defend themselves, they're defenseless. Not just against crime, but about the government. Against the government. Tyranny, you know what the word means? It hasn't disappeared. It's there. That's what Marxism, Black Lives Matter organizations, that's what they want. And that's what Biden won't stand up against. Kamala Harris wants that. Biden doesn't want it. Biden's just a puppet. All right? He doesn't care one way or the other. But Harris, she wants it. She was asked yesterday, would you stack the court? Wouldn't answer. And a non-answer is an answer. So I'm giving you the private property, and I'm giving you the guns because they're vivid. You can picture it. But there are hundreds of other rights that will disappear once the socialist left starts to impose the big government tells you how to live. Now, this is absolutely true. Absolutely true. There's no, oh, it's not happening. It is happening. They say it. And the Democrats also say, we want Puerto Rico and D.C. to be states. That would be 4 more Democratic senators. And that would mean the Democrats control the Senate, wouldn't it? That's what they wanted. Biden wants it. Sure. Come on in. Yeah. Now, that's not going to happen under our present Constitution because Washington, D.C. is a federal jurisdiction. They're not going to change that, not with the court being the way it is, but you have 15 Supreme Court justices on there? Okay. So the problem here is that President Trump has not told you what I just told you. I don't know why. I don't. I don't know why. Because that is far and away the most important thing going on in this election. If he would just take his 2 minutes or whatever they're going to give him in the next debate, it's going to be a town hall debate so he can take it where he wants it. That's just going to be, another fiasco. And just do what I did. Just look into the camera and say, this is what they want. Now, the Democrats are never going to buy it. Your liberal friends aren't going to buy it. They're not going to believe it. But it's true. And there's no way on earth I can vote for Joe Biden. I'll still cover this fairly, as I did on the debate. I can't vote for him. He's not going to protect my constitutional rights on any level. How can I vote for him? How could any American vote for him? Do you not want rights? You already lost. We already lost our right to privacy. We don't have any right to privacy anymore. Anybody can tape you, listen into use a gizmo to listen to you talk, do anything you want, and then give it to a newspaper. Trump's taxes. That's a felony. Anybody going to do anything? Nobody's going to do anything. Right to privacy? Gone. There's no right to privacy. So private property? That could go. And all of your other constitutional rights, including freedom of speech. Cancel culture? Does that honor your right to speak? Cancel culture? Does it? When you can walk in and if somebody picks up a tweet that you put out and the boss doesn't like it, he fires you? That's happening. That's cancel culture. Who's driving the cancel culture? Who? I reach millions of people, but I don't reach 330 million or 130 million that will vote. I only reach a very small percentage of that. But this is what the election's all about. I don't care whether you think Trump's the biggest chump in the world. All right? I don't care. He's not going to destroy the Constitution. Biden and his crew will. That's it. Now, there's a lot of other offshoots on this, okay? The offshoot is law and order in the major cities in this country is collapsing. Everybody knows this. If you have eyes, you can see this. Law and order came up again in the debate, but the point really wasn't driven home. Roll it.
And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what
in
they're
prevent-
talking about,
That's-
Chris. That's
well,
not what
that-
they're talking about.
that's
He's talking
exactly-
about defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law
Would you-
support.
look,
He has no law enforcement
That's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
look,
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go
Look,
ahead.
look.
Think. We have time.
we don't have time to do
No,
anything.
think
So
about
listen,
it.
Okay. Biden did not once in the Democratic convention, in his speech or any of his acolytes speaking, mention a violent protest. Not one time. Okay? He was asked in a debate, did you call the governor of Oregon and the mayor of Portland and offer your assistance or suggestions on how to quell the violence? He did not. And what was his answer? They can handle it. They can handle it. More than 100 consecutive days of violence in Portland, Oregon. Just this week, 2 police officers severely burned by Molotov cocktails. They can handle it. 100 days. You saw Seattle. You saw it take over the downtown area. Where's Biden on it? Not going to do anything. Not going to do one blanking thing. Now, this doesn't come under the heading of rights. It doesn't. This comes under the heading of policy. So Joe Biden will not alienate his left-wing base by cracking down on far-left protesters. He won't. Okay. In LA, 36-year-old Deontay Lee Murray has been arrested and charged with attempting to murder 2 sheriff's deputies. All right? So he's got all kinds of stuff against him. He's the shooter in Compton. Long record. And you never know, Mr. Murray shouldn't ever see the light of day again. Now, the 2 police officers are recovering, but that doesn't matter. He tried to kill them. So he should be away forever. It's California. California. Maybe he'll get probation in California. No, I'm being facetious. He'll do some time. A lot of time? Probably not. Assault on Los Angeles police officers has risen 156% in 1 year. All right? So now we have social disorder in the nation's second largest city and county. Largest county, second largest city. Social disorder. Okay? They don't fear the cops. They can try to hurt the cops. All right? Out there. 282 felony assaults against LA police officers so far this year. 282. In all of last year, there were 110. You see it? Social order collapsing under far left management of Los Angeles. Chicago, you already know. All right, what can I tell you? Every weekend in Chicago, they got the clicker. Oh, another guy shot, another baby shot, another teenager shot. Okay, bring him on in the hospital. All right, fine. And by the way, in LA, the city council cut the police budget $150 million. There you go. City council, LA, far left. $150 million, take it away. Even though the officers are now sitting ducks, to use the cliche. That makes sense? Sure it does. Chicago is and has been, for more than a decade, an insane asylum. All far-left leadership. New York, de Blasio's a communist, all right? Murders up 40% year to year. Shooting incidents, 91%, all right? Month to month, shooting incidents, 130%. Shooting victims, 100%. It's unbelievable. Okay. So the 3 largest cities in the country, social order has collapsed under far left leadership. And you're going to vote for Joe Biden? You want these people in the federal seat? Again, it doesn't matter how bad Trump is. Doesn't matter. You want these people running the country in the 3 largest cities are collapsing in front of everybody? And what do they want to do? Let's let more out of jail. It's unjust. Oh, you can't put criminals in jail, especially if they're minorities. No. Gotta let them, come on, no bail. Come on out, everybody out. That's what their programs are. Prosecute crime? Nah, we're not going to do that. In Minneapolis, one of the worst, 40 restaurant owners have petitioned the city council. Says you got to crack down on crime. Nobody are coming into the city to eat.